They put hands on my kid. Big mistake. Because that HOA cop had no idea my son was recording, or that his godfather runs the police department. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe if you want more Karen and HOA stories. The flashing red lights lit up my driveway like some cheap cop show. Two guys in fake uniforms. One with a beer gut hanging over his belt, the other sweating through his polyester shirt. Had my 16-year-old son, Jake, by the arms, shoving him into their HOA-branded golf cart. Jake's face was pure shock, his hands still clutching the chicken feed he'd been scattering when they grabbed him. I dropped the rake and sprinted toward them, my boots kicking up gravel. "Get your damn hands off my kid!" I roared. The taller one, a balding 50-something with mirrored sunglasses, didn't even flinch. "He was trespassing on HOA property," he snapped, like that explained manhandling a teenager. I laughed. Actually laughed, because this was beyond stupid. This isn't HOA land. Never was. My property, 10 acres of wooded peace, predated their tacky subdivision by decades. But Karen Whitmore, the HOA's queen bee, had decided otherwise. She'd been a thorn in my side ever since Green Ridge Estates sprouted up like a bad rash on the other side of the tree line. First, it was letters about my aesthetically offensive tool shed. Then complaints about my chickens being too loud. Now, fake cops kidnapping my kid on my own damn land. Jake, still gripping the feed bucket, shot me a look, part pissed, part amused. I told them, Dad. They didn't care. The shorter officer shifted nervously, eyeing the golf cart like he wanted to bolt. The baldy puffed out his chest. "We're authorized to detain violators." That's when I saw it. Jake's phone peeking from his pocket, screen still lit. Recording. My anger turned into a slow, cold grin. Authorized? Funny. Real cops need warrants. You just committed kidnapping. The nervous one swallowed hard. "We're just following Karen's orders." Of course they were. Karen had been pushing this feud for months. Ever since I'd refused her welcome packet of HOA rules. She'd escalated from passive-aggressive notes to drone surveillance, until I'd shot her damn spy camera out of the sky last week. Now she'd sent her goons. Big mistake. Because Jake wasn't just some random kid. His godfather? Police Chief Martinez. And thanks to Jake's recording habit, we had proof of every illegal move these clowns had made. I stepped closer, lowering my voice. "Here's what's gonna happen. You let my son go. You get off my property. And you tell Karen this isn't a subdivision squabble. It's a felony." The baldy opened his mouth, but the shorter guy yanked his arm. "Dave, we gotta go." They released Jake, scrambled into the golf cart, and peeled out, kicking up dust. Jake exhaled, shaking out his arms. "You good?" I asked. He nodded, handing me his phone. "Got it all, including the part where they said they were authorized." The video was crystal clear. "Perfect." I clapped him on the shoulder. "Go call your godfather. Tell him we've got a situation." As Jake headed inside, I stared at the tire marks on my driveway. Karen had crossed a line, and she had no idea what was coming next. The golf cart hadn't even made it back to Karen's McMansion before my phone started blowing up. Chief Martinez's name flashed on the screen, and I could already hear the controlled anger in his voice before I answered. "Derek, Jake just sent me the video. Stay put. I'm bringing units to your location in 10. I didn't bother telling him that wouldn't be necessary. I knew Karen too well. She wouldn't retreat after this humiliation. She'd double down. And sure enough, as I hung up, a shiny black SUV with Green Ridge HOA board decals came barreling down my driveway, kicking up a fresh wave of gravel. The passenger door flew open before it fully stopped, and Karen stormed out like a hurricane in a designer pantsuit. Her blonde bob was perfectly in place, her lipstick untouched by how hard she'd probably been screaming at her lackeys. "You assaulted my security team," she shrieked, waving a clipboard like it was a court order. Behind her, 3 more HOA board members climbed out of the SUV, their faces varying shades of nervous and smug. One even had a damn gavel. I leaned against my porch railing, crossing my arms. "Your fake cops tried to kidnap my son, Karen. On my property. while he was feeding chickens. She ignored that, flipping through her clipboard. We're holding an emergency compliance hearing. Right here. Right now. As if on cue, her minions started unfolding a plastic table and chairs on my lawn. One of them, a pasty guy in khakis, even hammered a little Green Ridge HOA Judicial Committee sign into my grass. I had to give them points for audacity. Jake came out of the house, filming again as Karen dramatically banged her gavel. This hearing will come to order. Charge 1. Illegal discharge of a firearm. That one almost made me laugh. You mean when I shot your illegal surveillance drone out of the sky? Karen's face turned the same shade as her ridiculous HOA president sash. Charge 2. Harassment of HOA officials. Now it was Jake's turn to snort. She plowed on. And charge 3. Repeated violations of community aesthetics. She gestured wildly at my property. The chickens, the slightly peeling paint on the barn, the old truck I'd been restoring. The board has voted unanimously to impose the following penalties: immediate removal of all livestock, payment of outstanding fines totaling $3,200, and the distant wail of police sirens cut her off. Karen froze mid-sentence, her head snapping toward the road. 3 squad cars came into view, lights flashing but no sirens now. Just the quiet, deadly purr of real authority. Chief Martinez stepped out first, adjusting his sunglasses like some Old West sheriff. His officers fanned out behind him, hands resting on their belts. The HOA board members looked like they just realized they'd walked onto a live minefield. Even Karen's grip on her gavel loosened. Martinez took his time walking up, his boots crunching on the gravel. He stopped right in front of Karen's pathetic little setup, eyed the Judicial Committee sign, and let out a slow whistle. Well, this is new. Then he turned to me. Derek, Jake. You good? I nodded. Jake held up his phone. Got everything, Uncle M. Martinez took the phone, watched for about 10 seconds, then handed it to one of his officers. Make copies. Lots of them. Then he turned back to Karen, who'd gone pale under her spray tan. Ma'am, you want to explain why you're... whatever these guys are. He gestured to the fake cops now cowering by the SUV. We're impersonating law enforcement and unlawfully detaining a minor? Karen opened her mouth, but nothing came out for once. One of her board members, the khaki guy, suddenly found his voice. We were just... It's a misunderstanding. The HOA has rules. Martinez didn't even look at him. Not on this property, you don't. He motioned to his officers. Cuff them. We'll sort it out downtown. As the officers moved in, Karen finally found her voice again, high-pitched and desperate. You can't do this. We're the Homeowners Association. Martinez just smiled. And I'm the chief of police. See how that works? The look on Karen's face as they led her security team away in handcuffs was almost worth the whole damn ordeal. Almost. Because as the squad cars pulled out, she turned back to me, her eyes burning with pure, unfiltered rage. This isn't over, she hissed. And I believed her. Karen wasn't the type to surrender. She'd just regroup. Jake nudged me, nodding toward the road. A sleek black sedan with tinted windows had pulled up. One I didn't recognize. The door opened, and a man in a suit that screamed "expensive lawyer" stepped out, adjusting his tie like he was about to deliver bad news to the president. He surveyed the scene, the folding chairs still scattered across my lawn, the HOA sign lying in the dirt, and sighed. Then he walked toward us, pulling a thick envelope from his briefcase. Martinez groaned. Oh, for God's sake. The lawyer moved like he owned the place, his shiny dress shoes crushing my grass as he walked up. He didn't bother introducing himself, just held out the envelope like it was a bomb about to go off. Mr. Wallace, I represent the Green Ridge Estates Homeowners Association. You'll find all pending violations and legal actions outlined here. His voice was smooth, rehearsed, the kind of voice that charged by the hour. I took the envelope, making a show of weighing it in my hand. This feels heavy. You guys finally admit you're full of crap in writing. The lawyer's eye twitched. The HOA has voted to expand its boundaries. Your property now falls under its jurisdiction. I barked out a laugh. Yeah? And who signed that? The Tooth Fairy. Jake, still filming, snorted behind me. The lawyer's smile was thin as cheap paper. The board approved it unanimously. You have 10 days to comply with all outstanding violations or face liens, fines, and possible eviction proceedings. He said it like he was ordering coffee, like this was normal, like a bunch of bored suburbanites could just rewrite property lines because they felt like it. Chief Martinez stepped forward, his badge catching the sun. That's not how any of this works, counselor. The lawyer barely glanced at him. This is a civil matter, Chief, not your jurisdiction. Martinez crossed his arms. Kidnapping and impersonating officers is, and since your clients just tried both, maybe rethink your strategy. For the first time, the lawyer hesitated. He adjusted his tie again. Those individuals acted without board approval. A big, fat one. Jake's video proved Karen had sent them herself. I tossed the envelope onto the porch steps. Tell Karen to come say this to my face next time. And bring her checkbook. The lawyer left without another word, his fancy car spitting gravel as he peeled out. Martinez watched him go, then turned to me. You know this isn't over, right? I nodded. Karen wouldn't quit. She'd just get sneakier. Jake flipped his phone closed. Sent the video to Aunt Maddie. She says, hold my coffee. That got a grin out of me. Maddie, my cousin, and more importantly, a lawyer who'd eaten corporate sharks for breakfast, had been waiting for this fight. 2 days later, Karen made her next move. I was fixing the fence when a white van rolled up. County Zoning Department, printed on the side. 2 guys in vests got out, clipboards in hand. One looked embarrassed. Anonymous complaint about unpermitted livestock structures? He gestured weakly at my chicken coop. I leaned on the post. Let me guess. Blonde lady? Smells like expired perfume. The zoning guys exchanged glances. They poked around for 5 minutes, took a few notes, then handed me a paper. No violations found. I pinned it to the barn next to the others. That night, Maddie called. Got the FAA report. Karen's drone wasn't just illegal, it had audio recording. Over private property. That's federal time. Her voice was pure satisfaction. Oh, and Derek? She's been doing it to half the neighborhood. The next morning, another HOA security golf cart rolled up, empty. Just a notice taped to the seat. Emergency board meeting tonight. Mandatory attendance. Jake pulled it off, grinning. They're scared. He was right. By sunset, 3 HOA board members had called me. Not Karen's inner circle, but the quiet ones. The ones who'd had enough. There's going to be a vote, one whispered, to remove her. I hung up, watching the sun dip behind the trees. Karen's kingdom was crumbling, and she had no one to blame but herself. The Green Ridge clubhouse was packed when we arrived. Every HOA member who'd ever gotten a fine for leaving their trash cans out too long or painting their door the wrong shade of beige had shown up. Karen stood at the front in her usual power suit, but her makeup couldn't hide the sweat on her forehead. Her eyes locked onto me the second Jake and I walked in, her lips pressing into that thin, angry line I'd come to know so well. Nice of you to finally join us, she snapped into the microphone. The room went quiet. As I was saying, recent events have. Hold on, I interrupted, pulling out my phone. Before you start, everyone should see this. I tapped the screen and turned up the volume. Karen's voice filled the room through the speakers. Fly it lower. I want to see if his kid has any drugs in that barn. The footage showed Karen's face clear as day, holding her expensive coffee while staring at a drone controller's screen displaying MY property. The room erupted. You spied on our kids too? Shouted Mrs. Peterson from 42 Oak Lane. My daughter changes in her backyard pool. Another neighbor stood up, shaking. That's my backyard barbecue last Sunday. My grandkids were swimming. Karen's face went white. That's edited. Fake. But the date stamps on the video didn't lie. Jake had pulled all the footage from Karen's own cloud backup after discovering her password was HOA Queen 123. Then Maddie walked in. My cousin looked like she'd just come from court. Sharp black suit, briefcase in one hand, a thick stack of papers in the other. She didn't say a word, just placed a lawsuit notice on the table in front of Karen. The room got so quiet you could hear Karen's ragged breathing. Class action, Maddie said simply. Invasion of privacy, illegal surveillance, harassment. Oh, and the FAA wants a word about those unregistered drones. She turned to the crowd. Anyone want to opt in? Hands shot up around the room. Karen grabbed the microphone. This is a coup. I've devoted years to this community. But the damage was done. Board members were already whispering, some packing up their things. Then the final blow came. Chief Martinez walked in, followed by 2 officers. Karen Whitmore, he said, not unkindly. We need you to come down to the station. FAA's filed criminal complaints. As they led her out, her perfect hair finally coming undone, the remaining board members called an emergency vote. The result was unanimous. The Green Ridge HOA was officially dissolved. We celebrated at my place that night. Neighbors I'd never really talked to before, laughing around the fire pit. Jake brought out the last of the illegal fireworks Karen had tried to ban 3 years ago. As they lit up the sky over what was once HOA territory, Mrs. Peterson handed me a beer. To freedom, she said, clinking her bottle against mine. But as I looked around at the smiling faces, I noticed one person missing, and I knew Karen wasn't done yet. Somewhere out there, she was licking her wounds, and people like her always come back for round 2. 2 weeks of peace. That's all we got before Karen struck back. I was cleaning chicken coops when a black BMW with tinted windows rolled up. Not the lawyer's car from before, but something newer, meaner. The man who stepped out wore a crisp navy suit and sunglasses despite the overcast sky. He moved like someone used to being obeyed. Mr. Wallace? His voice was calm, professional. I'm Robert Kincaid. I represent Whitmore Holdings. He handed me a business card so thick it could stop a bullet. We need to discuss your property. I wiped my hands on my jeans. Let me guess. Karen sent you. Kincaid smiled like I told a mildly amusing joke. Mrs. Whitmore is indisposed, but her family takes property rights very seriously. He pulled out a folder. This land was originally part of a 1952 parcel owned by Green Ridge Mining. There appears to be a discrepancy in your deed. My gut tightened. The property had been in my family since '68. But Kincaid's folder contained yellow documents with official-looking stamps. According to these records, the mineral rights were never properly transferred. Whitmore Holdings acquired those rights last month. Jake appeared beside me, phone already recording. That's bull, he said. We own this land free and clear. Kincaid didn't blink. Mineral rights are separate. And according to our survey, he tapped the paper. There's enough shale under this property to justify immediate drilling. The threat hung in the air like poison gas. They couldn't take my land, but they could surround it with rigs, poison the water, make life unbearable. Classic corporate warfare. Maddie arrived within the hour, her suit jacket flapping as she stormed across the yard. She scanned the documents, her face darkening. This is borderline fraudulent. But she hesitated. If they really do own mineral rights. I'd never seen Maddie uncertain before. That scared me more than the suit. That night, I dug through my grandfather's old files in the barn. Dusty boxes contained decades of paperwork, but no mineral rights documents. Just as I started to panic, Jake called from the house. Dad, you need to see this. On his laptop screen was a scanned newspaper article from 1972. The headline, Local Man Wins Decade-Long Land Battle Against Mining Company. The photo showed my grandfather shaking hands with a lawyer in front of our barn. Jake's fingers flew across the keyboard. I found the case records. Granddad didn't just win. He had them sign over all rights permanently. There's a restraining order preventing any mining activity within 2 miles of the property line. We hooped so loud the chickens startled. But our celebration died when headlights cut through the darkness. A familiar black sedan idled at the end of our drive. Then another appeared. Then a third. Kincaid stepped out of the lead car, his suit now replaced with work clothes. Behind him, men in hard hats unloaded surveying equipment. "They're not waiting," Jake whispered. I grabbed my phone and called Martinez. Then I did something I'd never done before. I walked out to meet them with a shotgun. Not loaded, but visible. Kincaid raised his hands. "No need for dramatics, Mr. Wallace. We're just conducting a routine." "Bullshit." I kept the barrel pointed at the ground. "You know about the injunction. You're trespassing." One of the workers muttered. "I ain't getting shot over no rich lady's tantrum." Several others nodded. Kincaid's calm facade cracked. "You can't stop progress, Wallace." Headlights flooded the scene again, but this time it was Martinez's squad cars, followed by Maddie's Prius with its hazards blinking. She leapt out waving a thick stack of papers. "Got it. The original court order. And guess what? Violating it carries criminal penalties." Kincaid actually took a step back. "This isn't over." "Oh, it is." Martinez cuffed him on the spot for trespassing. As they hauled him away, the workers packed up faster than kids caught egging a house. We thought we'd won. Again. Then at 3 a.m., the first firework hit the barn. The explosion shook the whole house. I bolted upright in bed just as the second firework hit, this one slamming into the chicken coop with a shower of sparks. Through the window, orange flames licked up the side of the old red barn where my grandfather had stored his tools. "Jake!" I shouted, already pulling on boots. "I'm here." He came running down the hall, phone in one hand, the fire extinguisher from the kitchen in the other. Already called 911. We burst outside into chaos. The chickens were screeching, the barn roof was catching fast, and shadowy figures moved at the tree line. Not just kids, adults. 3 of them, dressed in black, reloading professional-grade fireworks launchers. I grabbed Jake's shoulder before he could charge forward. "Stay back." The third rocket hit the dirt between us, sending up a plume of smoke. That's when I recognized the leader's stance, that stiff, self-important posture. Chad Mullins, Karen's golf cart cop lackey, out on bail. Martinez's sirens wailed in the distance, still miles away. The fire spread faster than I'd ever seen. Someone had doused the barn in accelerant first. The old dry wood went up like kindling. Then headlights cut through the smoke. A beat-up pickup skidded to a halt, and out poured half our neighborhood. Tom from down the road with his garden hose hooked to a pump, the Peterson kids dragging buckets, even Mrs. Henderson in her bathrobe wielding a fire blanket. "Thought you might need help," Tom yelled over the roar of flames. We formed a bucket brigade, passing water hand to hand while the fire department raced closer. The attackers saw the crowd and bolted. All except Chad, who stood frozen like a deer in headlights as the neighbors surrounded him. "You idiot!" Jake spat, shaking with anger. "That barn was built in 1948. Chad dropped his firework tube. Karen said, "She promised it would just scare you." The police arrived in time to hear his confession. As they hauled Chad away, Martinez pulled me aside. "Karen's still in custody, but her lawyer posted bail for these clowns an hour ago." He looked at the burning barn. "She's orchestrating this from jail." The fire trucks finally got the blaze under control, but the barn was a total loss. As dawn broke, we sifted through the smoldering wreckage. That's when Jake shouted. He'd found my grandfather's old lockbox in the one corner that survived, the metal warped but intact. Inside, beneath layers of waterlogged documents, we found it. The original 1972 court order, signed by a judge with an addendum no one had mentioned, not just banning mining, but granting our family exclusive surface and subsurface rights in perpetuity. The legal equivalent of a nuclear deterrent. Maddie hooped when she saw it. "This doesn't just protect your land. It voids any claim Whitmore Holdings thinks it has." She was already dialing her phone. "I'm getting Karen's bail revoked. This is felony arson now." But as the adrenaline faded, I noticed Jake staring at something in the ashes. A melted plastic box that looked out of place. He poked it with a stick, revealing blackened wires. "Dad, this isn't just arson." He held up a charred circuit board. "They planted something in the barn first. The sheriff's tech team arrived within the hour. Their verdict: a homemade incendiary device, rigged to look like an electrical fire, sophisticated enough to suggest help from someone who knew what they were doing. And Karen Whitmore had a brother, an explosives expert, currently on parole. The jail visitation room smelled like bleach and bad decisions. Karen sat across from me in her orange jumpsuit, her perfect manicure chipped for the first time since I'd met her. She looked tired, but her eyes still burned with that same crazy fire. "I didn't order anyone to burn your barn," she said before I could even sit down. I slid the photo of the melted incendiary device across the table. "Your brother's signature work, according to the ATF." Her fingers twitched. "Greg's been clean for 2 years. Funny. His ankle monitor says he was within a mile of my property last night." I leaned forward. "Here's the deal, Karen. You call off your attack dogs, and maybe Maddie doesn't press for maximum sentencing on the drone charges." She laughed. Actually laughed. Like I told the world's dumbest joke. "You still don't get it, do you? This was never just about you." She lowered her voice. "Green Ridge Estates was supposed to be phase 1. My family owns parcels in 6 counties. But your stubborn little farm scared the investors. Made us look weak." The pieces clicked together. This wasn't about HOA rules, it was about millions in development deals. And I was the cockroach they couldn't squash. As I left the jail, Martinez called. "We just pulled Greg Whitmore's travel records. He flew to Cancun this morning." "Convenient," I muttered. "Too convenient. His credit card was used at a gas station 3 hours ago. Someone's faking his alibi." I was halfway home when Jake called, his voice tight. "Dad, get back here. Now." The scene at my property looked like a cop convention. 3 squad cars, an unmarked van, and Martinez standing over something in the dirt near the barn ruins. He held up an evidence bag containing a familiar-looking circuit board. "We found another one. This one didn't go off." His face was grim. "It was set to trigger tonight. In your house." My blood turned to ice. Then my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Fireworks were just the opening act. Jake grabbed my arm. "We can't stay here." Martinez nodded. "I've got a safe house." As we packed essentials, Jake suddenly froze at his bedroom window. "Dad?" "The rooster." I joined him. The giant wooden rooster I'd erected to mock the HOA stood at the edge of the property. Only now, someone had painted red X's over its eyes and hung a noose around its neck. A clear message: "You're next." The safe house wasn't safe. We'd been there less than 2 hours when the power went out. Not the normal flicker and die of a blackout, this was surgical. 1 second the lights were on, the next everything went dark and silent. Jake tensed beside me on the couch. "That's not right." Martinez drew his gun, motioning us toward the back bedroom. "Stay here. Lock the door." The windowless room smelled like old carpet and gun oil. Jake pressed his ear against the door while I searched for anything we could use as a weapon. All I found was a rusty fire poker. Then the screaming started. Not human, electronic. The ear-piercing shriek of the security system's alarm kicking on, followed by Martinez shouting. A gunshot cracked through the house. Then another. Then silence. Jake's hands shook as he pulled out his phone. No signal. They jammed us. The doorknob turned slowly. I raised the fire poker as the door creaked open, revealing Chief Martinez, his face bleeding from a cut above his eye. "We need to move. Now." He led us through the wrecked living room. One of his officers lay unconscious near the shattered front window. The other was gone. "Where's Rodriguez?" Jake asked. Martinez didn't answer, just pushed us toward the back door. "Car's out back. Keys are in it. Go to the station." "What about you?" I demanded. He checked his ammo. "I'm gonna find who did this." We burst outside into pounding rain. The unmarked cruiser sat 20 feet away, its windshield wipers still moving. Too convenient. I yanked Jake behind a tree. "That's a trap." As if on cue, the car exploded. The blast knocked us to the ground. Heat washed over us as debris rained down. When my vision cleared, I saw him. A hulking figure in a black raincoat standing at the tree line. Greg Whitmore. Alive. Well, and holding what looked like military-grade rifle. Martinez opened fire from the house, forcing Greg to duck behind a tree. "Run!" the chief screamed. We ran toward the woods behind the property, branches whipping at our faces. Jake pulled up short suddenly, grabbing my arm. "Dad, look!" Rodriguez, Martinez's missing officer, lay face down in the mud, unconscious but breathing. His radio crackled to life. "All units, officer down. Backup requested." Jake grabbed the radio. "This is Jake Wallace. We're at." A gunshot splintered the tree above our heads. Greg was closing in. Then came the sound I'd never been so happy to hear. Sirens. Lots of them. Greg hesitated, then melted back into the trees just as 3 state police cruisers skidded into the driveway. We thought we were saved, until the lead trooper stepped out, his hand resting on his gun. "Derek Wallace? You need to come with us." Jake stepped forward. "What? Why?" The trooper's face was grim. "For questioning in the attempted murder of Chief Martinez." The police station smelled like burnt coffee and desperation. They'd put me in an interrogation room with a 2-way mirror while Jake waited outside with a social worker. The trooper, Detective Hayes, slid a photo across the table. "Chief Martinez is in surgery. Someone shot him with his own gun after you fled." The photo showed Martinez's service weapon lying in mud. "Your prints are all over it." I almost laughed. "Of course they are. I handed it back to him yesterday after cleaning it. He's my friend." Hayes didn't blink. "Convenient." Then the door burst open. Jake stood there, face flushed, holding his phone high. "Before you charge my dad, you need to see this." The video played clearly despite the tiny screen. Greg Whitmore stepping from the trees. Martinez shouting for us to run. The gunshot. And most damning, Greg picking up Martinez's dropped weapon before disappearing again. Hayes's face darkened. "Where did you?" "Uploaded to the cloud the second we got Wi-Fi back," Jake said. Same with the audio of Karen admitting her real estate scheme. And the GPS data showing Greg's ankle monitor was tampered with. He took a deep breath. "Sir, you're about to arrest the wrong people." Everything happened fast after that. State police raided Greg's known hideouts. They found blueprints of my property, receipts for explosives, and, most interesting, a burner phone with calls to Rodriguez's personal number. The unconscious officer had been playing both sides. Karen cracked first. Facing life as an accessory to attempted murder, she gave up everything: the real estate scam, the bribed officials, even the name of the corporate backers funding her takeover attempts. Greg lasted longer. They caught him trying to board a cargo ship in Norfolk with fake papers and $200,000 in cash. As for us, we came home to a surprise. The neighbors, the same ones who'd avoided us during the HOA days, had rebuilt the barn. Not just repaired it, made it better than before with solar panels and a new coop for the chickens. At the center of the yard stood Cluck Norris, our wooden rooster, freshly repainted with one addition: a police chief's badge carved into his wing. Martinez visited a month later, walking with a cane but alive. "Heard you're getting a settlement from Whitmore Holdings," he said, accepting a beer. I nodded. "Enough to put in a real security system. Maybe even a moat." Jake grinned. "With alligators." Martinez snorted. "Just plant more of those damn roses Karen hated. That's revenge enough." As the sun set behind our repaired barn, I realized something. Karen had been right about one thing. It was never just about property lines or HOA rules. It was about what home really means. And no amount of fake cops, lawsuits, or arson could ever take that from us.